The iPhone XR is one of Apple's most popular iPhone releases of all time. It was the first iPhone that was positioned as a value proposition, meaning it cost a lot less than Apple's other models. But the big question today is this: should you buy an iPhone XR in 2023? In order to answer this question properly, I'm going to cover up everything you need to know about the iPhone XR, including its specs and hardware, how much it costs in 2023, and the pros and cons of buying one in 2023. Here are the specs of iPhone XR. The iPhone XR, even from the vantage point of 2023, is still kind of appealing. Part of the reason is its price. The iPhone XR costs literally next to nothing in 2022. So if you're after a way of cutting romantic phone bills, this phone could well be it. Although iPhone XR doesn't have 5G, it also lacks a dual lens camera module and it runs Apple's older LCD screen technology. The iPhone XR runs the same 12-megapixel sensor as the iPhone XS. For basic stuff, uploading pictures to social media and snapping photos of your friends and family, it is perfectly adequate with excellent color balance and natural-looking color production. It does lack plenty of the features you'll find on modern phones. There's no ultra-wide lens, no telephoto lens, and its zooming capabilities are somewhat limited. Again, if you're a basic user, meaning you don't take that many pictures or videos, it will be perfectly fine. It still has things like portrait mode, which will blur out the background, but it does lack plenty of the features you'll find on the iPhone 11 and iPhone 12. Low light performance isn't great either, thanks to its smaller aperture, again compared to the newer models. But this is pretty much par for the course with the phone released 4 years ago. Camera tech comes along in leaps and bounds between generations. For a phone that now costs less than $250, the camera is more than adequate on the iPhone XR. The iPhone XR runs Apple's A12 Bionic CPU. By 2023 standards, and more specifically Apple's current standards, it is now pretty old. But this doesn't mean it isn't fit for purpose in 2023. Apple CPUs are insanely powerful. Most users never even tap 20% of its latent performance abilities. So while the A12 is now 4 generations old, it still packs a punch in all the areas that count. If all you do is use apps, run email, browse the web, and make calls, the iPhone XR has more than enough performance to handle these things with ease. Even with gaming, the phone still handled everything I threw at it. But 2018 was 4 years ago now, which begs the question, is it the iPhone XR still worth buying in 2023? As always, it depends. It depends on what you want from a phone and what you don't want. If you want a cheap yet still very powerful phone, then yes, the iPhone XR is totally worth buying in 2023. Although it doesn't run 5G, its CPU is getting old, but it's still perfectly good, and it doesn't have an OLED display. The iPhone XR also looks like the iPhone 11 and iPhone 12, thanks to its all-display frontage and the fact that it runs Face ID, not Touch ID. You also have a range of color options, which the iPhone XR too. In fact, this is one of the reasons, besides price, why it is so popular for so long. Apple users love having a lot of color options. The pros of buying an iPhone XR in 2023 vastly outweighs the cons. In my opinion, the phone itself is now quite a bit cheaper than it was in 2018. The design of the iPhone XR is still extremely modern. The display, while LCD is perfectly adequate, it's not as good as Apple's OLED panels. The battery on the iPhone XR is superb as well. It runs a 2142 mAh battery, which is larger than both the iPhone X and the iPhone XS batteries. This means you're looking at some of the best battery performance ever seen inside iPhone. The iPhone XR also supports wireless charging. On top of this, you have full IP67 water and dust resistance, a decent 12 megapixel rear camera, and the fact that the iPhone XR now costs less than $300 and you're looking at one of the best value iPhones on the planet. For me, the cons of buying an iPhone XR are pretty minimal, especially if you just want a functional phone with a great software and excellent battery life. The main issue for many will be that the iPhone XR's camera isn't that impressive. It's a single lens 12 megapixel shooter, the same as the iPhone XS. Missing 5G connectivity is also a growing concern as 5G becomes more readily available across the nation. If you're not confused about 5G, this isn't actually an issue. And the side benefit of not running 5G is that the iPhone XR, like the iPhone 11, has incredibly battery life. Is the iPhone XR worth in 2023? Me personally, I'm a big fan of the iPhone XR, especially since it is now so cheap. The iPhone XR looks great, is still a solid performer, and has excellent battery life, and will receive iOS updates for years to come. If you don't mind not running the latest specs and hardware, things like triple lens cameras and 5G, then yes, the iPhone XR is totally worth a buy in 2023.